Hare Krishna. Welcome all for the new series. We will start our session with a Kirtan. I'll start. Okay. नवनीरदनिन्दितकान्तिधरं रससागरनागरभूपवरं नवनीरदनिन्दितकान्तिधरं रससागरनागरभूपवरं शुभवङ्किमचारुशिखण्डशिखं भज कृष्णनिधिं व्रजराजसुतं शुभवङ्किमचारुशिखण्डशिखं भज कृष्णनिधिं व्रजराजसुतं भुविशङ्कितवङ्किमशक्रधनुं मुखचन्द्रविनिन्दितकोटिविधुं भ्रुविशङ्कितवङ्किमशक्रधनुं मुखचन्द्रविनिन्दितकोटिविधुं मृदुमन्दसुहास्यसुभाष्ययुतं भज कृष्णनिधिं व्रजराजसुतं मृदुमन्दसुहास्यसुभाष्ययुतं भज कृष्णनिधिं व्रजराजसुतं सुविकम्पदनङ्गसदङ्गधरं व्रजवासि मनोहरवेशकरं सुविकम्पदनङ्गसदङ्गधरं व्रजवासि मनोहरवेशकरं वृषलाञ्छितनीलसरोजदृशं भज कृष्णनिधिं व्रजराजसुतं वृषलाञ्छितनीलसरोजदृशं भज कृष्णनिधिं व्रजराजसुतं अलकावलिमण्डितभालतटं श्रुतिडोलितमाकरकुण्डलकम् लकावलिमण्डितभालतटं श्रुतिढोलितमाकरकुण्डलकम् कटिवेष्टितपीठपटं सुधटं भज कृष्णनिधिं व्रजराजसुतं कटिवेष्टितपीठपटं सुधटं भज कृष्णनिधिं व्रजराजसुतं कलनूपुरराजितचारुपदं मणिरञ्जितगञ्जितभृङ्गमदं कलनूपुरराजितचारुपदं मणिरञ्जितगञ्जितभृङ्गमदं ध्वजवज्रझषाङ्कितपादयुगं भज कृष्णनिधिं व्रजराजसुतं ध्वजवज्रझषाङ्कितपादयुगं भज कृष्णनिधिं व्रजराजसुतं वृषचन्दनचर्चितचारुतनुं मणिकौस्तुभगर्हितभानुतनुं वृषचन्दनचर्चितचारुतनुं मणिकौस्तुभगर्हितभानुतनुं व्रजबालशिरोमणिरूपधृतं भज कृष्णनिधिं व्रजराजसुतं व्रजबालशिरोमणिरूपधृतं भज कृष्णनिधिं व्रजराजसुतं सुरवृन्दसुवन्द्यमुकुन्दहरिं सुरनाथ शिरोमणि सर्वगुरुं सुरवृन्दसुवन्द्यमुकुन्दहरिं सुरनाथ शिरोमणि सर्वगुरुं सर्वगुरुं गिरिधारी मुरारी पुरारी परं भज कृष्णनिधिं व्रजराजसुतं गिरिधारी मुरारी पुरारी परं भज कृष्णनिधिं व्रजराजसुतं वृषभानुसुतावरकेली परं रसराज शिरोमणिवेशधरं वृषभानुसुतावरकेली परं रसराज शिरोमणिवेशधरं जगदीश्वरमीश्वरमीड्यवरं भज कृष्णनिधिं व्रजराजसुतं जगदीश्वरमीश्वरमीड्यवरं भज कृष्णनिधिं व्रजराजसुतं भज कृष्णनिधिं व्रजराजसुतं भज कृष्णनिधिं व्रजराजसुतं हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे जायो कृष्ण बलराम कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय वृंदावन धाम वृंदावन धाम जायो वृंदावन धाम जायो राधे श्याम राधे श्याम जायो राधे श्याम जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल। Hare Krishna. I'm visible, audible to all. Hare Krishna. So I heartily welcome you all to our new series on Shri Rukmini Devi, the Queen of Dwaraka. So before we begin, we will start our recitation of prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 52nd verse, 52nd chapter, 37th verse. Shri Rukminyuvacha Shrutva Gunan Bhuvana Sundara Shrinvatam Te Nirvishya Karna Vivarair Haratongatapam Rupam Drisham Drishimatam Akhilathalabham Tvayachyuta Vishati Chittamapatratam Me Shrutva Gunan Bhuvana Sundara Shrinvatam Te Nirvishya Karna Vivarair Haratongatapam Rupam Drisham Drishimatam Akhilarthalabham Tvayachyuta Vishati Chittamapatratam Me Shrutva Gunan Bhuvana Sundara Gun Shrinvatam Te Nirvishya Karna Vivarair Haratongatapam Rupam Drisham Drishimatam Akhilathalabham Tvayachyuta vishati chitramapatratam me. Translation. Sri Rukmini said in her letter, as read by the Brahmana, O beauty of the worlds, having heard of your qualities, which enter the ears of those who hear and remove their bodily distress, and having also heard of your beauty, which fulfills all the visual desires of those who see, I have fixed my shameless mind upon you, O Krishna. Purport. By the disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Rukmini was a king's daughter, courageous and bold, and furthermore, she would rather die than lose Krishna. Considering all this, she wrote a frank, explicit letter begging Krishna to come and take her away. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमा ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So I hearty welcome to one and all, and thank you all for your valuable time in this evening. Today is a very auspicious day. It's Ekadashi, and it is the beginning of the 5 days of Julan Yatra. So it's a very beautiful day that we're meeting. So we will start with our session. Today our topic is the hidden message. So what's this hidden message? So what did we read in the purport? What is the whole verse about? This verse is an excerpt from the letter that Sri Rukmini Devi has handwritten to Lord Krishna 5,000 years ago in Dwarka. So this is called the original love letter. So it was written 5,000 years ago. Imagine, and we have an access for it today after 5,000 years. So that's the beauty of this letter. So we have some idea of a love letter in the material world. It hardly lasts one lifetime. People generally, in the prime of their youth, probably write, and later, and these days with the electronic media, it doesn't even last few days. So, but this love letter is not ordinary. It is written 5 years ago, and till date, it is celebrated, recited by great saints and acharyas. And it shows the path to spiritual love. So that is why this is very, very special. So we will go into the details of this. So before we go into the details, we will learn today something about ourselves, something very interesting about ourselves. In his great treatise called Jaiva Dharma, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes that a jiva, that is a living entity, has two types of dharma. What are these two types? They're Nitya Dharma and Naimittika Dharma. So, what is Nitya Dharma and what is Naimittika Dharma? I'll give you a small example. You see, there is water. What is the nature of water? The nature of water is its liquidity, that it flows. But when the same water is kept in the deep freezer and it is frozen, it forms into ice, right? It becomes ice. And now when it becomes ice, it no longer retains its original nature of liquidity. It assumes a new form and a new nature. So this is what exactly is like Nitya Dharma and Naimittika Dharma. Nitya Dharma is the original true nature, and the Naimittika Dharma, like the ice, is the assumed nature because of keeping it in a new condition. And when this foreign condition is removed, again the ice returns to the condition of water. So the Nitya Dharma of the soul is the natural original function of the soul. It is described in Chaitanya Charitamrita. What is the Nitya Dharma of the soul? Jivera Swarupa hoy, Krishnera Nitya Das. That is the Nitya Dharma. For the soul to be the eternal servant of God is its Nitya Dharma. And for the soul, Krishna Prema is the chief attribute. And this Krishna Prema is expressed as unalloyed, loving, devotional service to the Supreme Lord. And when the same soul comes in contact with material nature, it gets a material body. And when it associates with material nature and gets a material body, the dharma that it has assumed is called Naimittika Dharma. So this Naimittika Dharma is nothing but the temporary religious duties and functions of the body. For example, when the soul is in the body of a bird, it has a different dharma. When it is in the body of a human being, it has a different dharma. And when it's in the body of a male, it has one dharma. When it's in the body of the female, it's different dharma. So basically, Nitya Dharma is constant and Naimittika Dharma is variable. So the dharma of the body, the Naimittika Dharma, we have dealt with it in detail actually by learning the whole series of Devahuti. What is the Stri Dharma? We have learned about it. So basically, when the Naimittika Dharma is performed in such a way that it awakens the original love of God, that is the Nitya Dharma, then it has meaning. So it is said in Bhagavatam, first canto, second chapter, Dharma svanishtitasya pumsam vishvaksena kathastuyat notpadayed yadiratim shramaye vaihi kevalam. So the Naimittika Dharma, when it is performed, if it does not develop within the heart an attachment to hear the glories of Krishna, then it is a Shrama eva hi kevalam. It's a waste of time. So Nitya Dharma, how is Nitya Dharma awakened? So this is the whole crux of today's class. There's a beautiful verse which says, Nitya Dharma Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabunoi Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Koriye Uday. So this Krishna Prema is inherent within the soul. And how is it awakened? Shravana, by hearing. So simply by hearing about Krishna, this original nature of the soul is awakened. So this is the very theme of today's whole class. And we see how Sri Rukmini Devi has personified this whole aspect of hearing about Krishna and awakening that pure love of God. So hearing about the pastimes of Krishna, so that's they have such great immense potency that they can unlock the deepest of spiritual treasures for one's life. So we will begin our session with a brief introduction of how this whole pastime of Rukmini Dwarkadish has happened. So we all know how Krishna has come from Vrindavan to Mathura and killed Kamsa. So when Krishna killed Kamsa, two of Kamsa's wives, Asti and Prapti, they both have become widows. And this Asti and Prapti, they are both are daughters of Jarasandha. So they both go to Jarasandha, who is the ruler of Magadha, and they cry. They say, no, this is how we have been widowed by Krishna. And Jarasandha becomes very furious. So he vows that I'm going to wipe this whole earth away I'm going to wipe away all the Yadavas from this earth. He takes a vow and he has a huge army. So he takes a huge army and he attacks Mathura. So Krishna, understanding that Mathura is being attacked, he gets ready along with his brother Balaram, and they put forth a fierce battle with Magadendra Jarasandha. And the whole battle happens, and Krishna with his bow, Sanga, he showers rains of arrows and he destroys the whole army of Jarasandha. And Balaram actually makes Jarasandha captive. But then Krishna lets Jarasandha go away. Why Krishna lets Jarasandha go away? Because Jarasandha has a huge army. If he sets him free, again he will come back to attack with the remaining army. And Krishna's purpose of descending on this earth is to rid the earth of all this demoniac population. So Krishna sets Jarasandha free. So Jarasandha goes back to Magadha and again attacks Mathura. How many times? 17 times he attacks. And every time Krishna finishes the army swiftly. So then what happens? There is one more demoniac person called Kalayavana. So Kalayavana, after hearing from Narada about the greatness of Lord Krishna, he also wants to prove his strength and by attacking Krishna. So So Kalayavana plans an attack again on Mathura. Then Krishna, at this point of time, he's in a crux because the attack of Kalayavana and Jarasandha is happening simultaneously. So he becomes a little concerned about the safety and security of all the praja, all the citizens of Mathura. So what Krishna does is he transfers the whole population of Mathura overnight to Dwaraka. He builds a city of Dwaraka, which is within the sea, amidst the sea, so that when it's in the middle of the sea, the armies cannot attack. See, that's how much he cared for his citizens. So he built a city overnight in the middle of the sea at Dwarka, and transferred his citizens overnight from Mathura to Dwarka. And the next day, the Kalayavana comes to attack Krishna, and Krishna's response is, when Kalayavana comes to attack him, he runs away. And he runs and runs and runs, and he enters a cave. So this is the cave that Krishna enters. And Kalayavana also enters that cave. And Kalayavana enters, he actually sees some person sleeping there. So Kalayavana, thinking that he is Krishna, he goes and pushes him. And then the person who's sleeping wakes up. And he wakes up with red, furious eyes. And the eyes are so furious that blazing fire comes out of his eyes. And that fire actually burns Kalayavana into ashes. So the person who is sleeping is Muchukunda. So Muchukunda is actually a great devotee of the Lord. He actually helps demigods in fighting with the demons. And when the demigods ask him what benediction you want, he says, I'll just go and sleep. I'm tired. So they give him the benediction that you can go and sleep. And now he comes and has the darshan of Krishna face to face. So he offers his choicest prayers to Lord Krishna. He circumambulates Lord Krishna and he leaves. And Krishna again returns to Mathura. And by the time he returns to Mathura, again, Jarasandha, this time he comes and attacks Mathura with 23 Akshaunis of army. So again, Krishna and Balaram, they flee. So why they flee? Because Krishna is running away. He's very famously in Gujarat also called Ranchor. Ranchor means Ran means the battlefield. Ranchor means who leaves the battle and runs away. He's also called Ranchod Rai. So he flees. He runs away again, and he comes to a mountain. And they come to a mountain called Pravarshana mountain. And they climb that mountain, Krishna and Balaram. These are all these beautiful pastimes of the Lord. And they have a very deep inner significant meaning. So they climb up this mountain called Pravarshana. So Jarasandha chases after them. And what he sees is that they're climbing up the hill. And he thinks that they're entering a cave. And so he sets fire to the entire mountain. And Krishna and Balram, they go to the other side of the mountain and they jump off the mountain. I mean, Jarasandha thinks that actually Krishna Balram might have died in the cave because of the fire he has set, and he goes back to Magadha. And Krishna Balram would actually jump off the mountain and they return to Dwaraka. So when they return to Dwaraka, Krishna receives a special guest and who has a very special message for him. So that message is a sealed letter, a letter from Rukmini Devi. So who is Rukmini Devi? So who is Rukmini Devi? So Rukmini Devi is actually, she's in this world, she is known as the princess of Vidarbha or Vaidarbhi. But originally, what is her spiritual nature? She is none other than the supreme goddess of fortune. Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. He is the Shaktiman. And there is something, his concerts are called Shakti. So Shaktiman and Shakti together form the absolute truth. So we'll just briefly look at what is the tattva of the Shakti and Shaktiman. So absolute truth comprises of Shaktiman and Shakti. So Shaktiman is the supreme personality of Godhead, Krishna himself, from whom the various Purusha avatars come, like Balaram, the first Chaturvyuha, the second Chaturvyuha, and the Mahavishnus, and everybody. All the Purusha avatars come from Lord Krishna. Then there is Shakti. So Shakti is divided into three potencies. This is the internal potency, which is called the Chit Shakti, and there is marginal potency, which is called the Jiva Shakti, and the external potency, which is called the Maya Shakti. So this internal potency or Chit Shakti is again divided into three, which is called Samvit, Sandhini, and Hladini. We always say, right, our soul is Satchidananda. It is eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. So this is the original spiritual substance, which is the internal potency of the Lord. So which is divided into Samvit, Sandhini, and Hladini. Samvit is knowledge or cognizance. Sandhini is eternality, and Hladini is bliss. So Hladini, the name sounds very familiar, right? So Hladini is actually, the whole essence of Hladini is Srimati Radharani. And Srimati Radharani is the source of all the Lakshmis or the goddesses of fortune. There's a beautiful verse. Devi Krishna Mai Prokta Radhika Paradevata Sarva Lakshmi Mai Sarva Kanti Sammohini Para. The supreme goddess of fortune is none other than Srimati Radharani or Radhika. Sarva Lakshmi Mai, she is the source of all the goddesses of fortune. And in fact, all the concerts of Krishna are expansions of Srimati Radharani. Just as from Krishna comes all the Purusha avatars, from Srimati Radharani come all the Lakshmis and all the Shakti avatars. So from Srimati Radharani come the three types of the Shakti avatars, which are the Lakshmi Gana, the Mahishi Gana, and the Vrajangana. So the Lakshmi Gana are the goddesses of fortune. Mahishi Gana are the queens of Dwaraka. And Vrajangana are the gopis of Vrindavana. So the Lakshmi Gana are the partial expansions of Radharani. The queens of Dwaraka are like her mirror images. And the Vraja gopis are like her direct bodily expansions. It's a very deep tattva, which we can learn some other time. So basically, Srimati Rukmini Devi is like the direct expansion of the supreme goddess of fortune. So I hope you all recognize these deities. They are goddess Rukmini and Vittal Dev. They are the deities of Pandharpur. Very, very beautiful deities. So today we're going to discuss something about Mother Rukmini by taking their blessings. So Rukmini Devi is also called Vaidarbhi. Vaidarbhi means she is the princess of a place called Vidarbha. So this Vidarbha is still present in Maharashtra. And the capital is called, it's given, the name is given Kundina in Bhagavatam. And this name is still prevalent. It's called Kaundinyapur. This place is 4 hours from Nagpur. It's still present today. So I'll show you a brief map of these, during the Mahabharata times. Where is exactly this Vidarbha situated? I'm just zooming in. I hope all of you can see. See, in the middle, below the Vindhya mountains, is Vidarbha, and the capital is Kundinapur. You all can see, right? And left towards Gujarat is Dwarka. And you see topmost near Uttar Pradesh, there is Mathura. From Mathura, Krishna shifts all his citizens to Dwarka. And to the right is Magadha. Magadha, that is a place of Jarasandha. And right above Kundinapur, right about Vidarbha is Chedi. Chedi is the place of Shishupal. Yeah, we're going to learn, see who is Shishupal in our later slides. So, Rukmini comes from a very amazing royal family and the king of Vidarbha, her father, is Bhishmaka. So Bhishmaka is a very, very saintly king. He's himself a glorious devotee of Lord Krishna. He was such a saintly king that he used to always invite saints to his kingdom, his palace, and serve them. And they used to come and they used to tell the stories of Krishna. Generally, what sadhus do, they give Hari Katha. And even Narada Muni used to come to their palace and they used to tell about the glories of Krishna. So that is how Rukmini Devi heard so much about Krishna right from her childhood. She hears about Krishna's pastimes. She heard about Krishna's beauty. She heard about Krishna's qualities. And as she heard them over and over again, she really relished them. And Rukmini Devi had 5 brothers. Yeah, 5 brothers. The eldest name is Rukmi, and 4 more brothers called Rukmaratha, Rukmabahu, Rukmamali, and Rukmakesha. There are 4 more brothers. So altogether, there are 5 brothers and 1 sister who is Rukmini. So Rukmini always, she used to hear from these great saints about Krishna, from Narada Muni and from all the great saints who are visiting there. And as she heard from all the saints about the Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela, the holy name of Krishna, the beauty of Krishna, the qualities of Krishna, the pastimes of Krishna, she actually fell in love with Krishna. And this falling in love is not like some kind of the material love. It's not the love of the mind and the senses, but it's the awakening of one's original love for Krishna. And this awakening actually took place in her. And this love can be awakened even within the jivas, because even within every living entity, there is this inherent dormant love for Krishna, which is their true nature, which is their nitya dharma. So by the process of hearing, this love has awakened in Rukmini. And she was so much in love with him that she actually surrendered her heart to him. And she expressed to her relatives that I am going to marry only Krishna and no one else. So as per her desire, actually her relatives and her father together, they say that yes, we will go ahead and we will try to approach Krishna for the match. And we also are very happy for it. But then comes the villain. So every story has a twist. Then comes the villain, who's Rukmi. So Rukmi, he also has been hearing Krishna Katha, but a different reaction is happening in his heart. What was that reaction? He was growing envious, more and more envious, and more envious by hearing Krishna Katha. He was thinking, why Krishna? Why not me? Why he has to be the most beautiful? Why not me? See, why Krishna? Why not me? This is the origin of envy. And he developed this envy so much that he also attracted people who are envious as his friends. And that friend is Shishupal. Shishupal is also super envious about Krishna. We all have learned last time about how Krishna beheads Shishupal. So, he could not stand that his sister is actually wanting to marry Krishna. So what he does is, he takes decision, he fixes the match with Shishupal, And he says that next day, tomorrow, you're going to get married to him and let all arrangements be done. So you see, in this whole scenario, our acharyas explain that Bhishmaka, who is the father of Rukmini, he represents the intelligence. Rukmini, along with her 4 brothers, leaving aside Rukmini, along with her 4 brothers, they represent the 5 senses. And Rukmi, the eldest brother, who is envious of Krishna, he represents the mind. And Shishupal represents envy or desire for material enjoyment. And so with this whole structure, we see that mind is always trying to take us away and get us married to Maya, get us married to material enjoyment, get us married to envy, and take us away from Krishna. But the 5 senses, in these 5 senses, Rukmini represents the ear or hearing. And she has sufficiently heard about Krishna, and she has heard in a very attentive way and with lot of love. And she has fixed Krishna in her heart. So with that hearing, she could never let Maya enter into her, because she has already given her heart away to Krishna. So the result is, what did Rukmini do? She could not think of getting married to Shishupal. Imagine, she was so deeply in love with Krishna, and she has to marry a person who was 24 hours envious of Krishna. She has to spend the rest of her life with him. She couldn't imagine anything like that. So she was in a very desperate situation, and Rukmini came and said that tomorrow is your marriage, and all the arrangements are being made, and they have called all the guests. You want to know who all those guests were? The guests were Jarasandha, along with his whole army. There is Dantavakra, along with his army. There is Shishupal, along with his army. And there is Shalva, and there is Viduratha. These are all the hardcore enemies of Krishna. All these people, along with their armies, they were the guests for the marriage. And do you know why all these people have come with their armies? Because they all knew that Rukmini was in love with Krishna, and Krishna is going to somehow come and going to take her away. In that case, this is the opportunity for us to defeat Krishna. So they have come with all their armies. So it's a whole big political scenario that is happening there. And Rukmini was very aware of what all was happening. So in her desperate condition, what did she do? She wrote a letter to Krishna, expressing her heart. Yeah. She wrote a beautiful letter to Krishna, and she has sealed that letter, and she approaches a Brahmana, and she requests him, my dear Brahmana, I owe you everything. Kindly, please deliver this letter to Krishna, who is the king of Dwaraka. And why Rukmini has chosen a Brahmana for this job? This is because there are many reasons. There are two main reasons. First reason is, basically, Rukmini is very, very intelligent. She chose a Brahmana because the Brahmana will not be stopped by any of the security guards in the Dwaraka palace. He has access to go right into the inner chambers of the palace and meet Krishna directly face to face, because nobody would stop a Brahmana. But if it were to be a minister or a security person, he would be stopped and interrogated as to why you're here, etc., etc. So that's the reason number one, that why she chose a Brahmana to deliver this message. And reason number two, the most important reason and the inner reason, is that Brahmanas are very, very dear to Krishna. Krishna is called Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha. Go Brahmana. Cows and Brahmanas are very, very dear to Krishna. So the Acharya says, just as Indra has approached Surabhi Maya, that is the cow, to approach Krishna so that his proposal will be accepted, Mother Rukmini has taken the help of Brahmana to approach Krishna so that her proposal will be accepted. She was so humble. She was so simple, so humble. And then the Brahmanas, imagine the next day is the marriage, and he had to reach Dwaraka. I've shown you on the map where is Vidarbha, where is Dwaraka. Vidarbha is in Maharashtra, Dwarka is there at Gujarat. So the very same day, he actually reaches. He reaches Dwarka, even after crossing the sea. And he enters right into the palace of Lord Krishna, where Lord Krishna is seated on the magnificent throne as a great prince, as a great king. So, and as soon as he sees the Brahmana, Krishna immediately comes off his throne, receives the Brahmana with a lot of respect, and offers him all respect and worship, just like how the demigods worship him, he worships that Brahmana. And after sufficiently worshipping him, Lord Krishna takes him and offers him wonderful prasadam and ensures that he gets a nice place to rest. And then Lord Krishna approaches the Brahmana and he serves him. He serves him by nicely massaging his feet. Imagine the Supreme Lord, Krishna, he's massaging the feet of Brahmana, and then he starts speaking to the Brahmana. And when he starts speaking to the Brahmana, he asks him, "My dear Brahmana, I hope everything is fine at your end. I hope your welfare is taken care of by the king of your kingdom. I hope all the religious duties are performed well. So, you might have taken a lot of trouble to actually cross the ocean and come to meet me. So you must be carrying some very important message. Please let me know how I can serve you." So in a very pleasing way, Krishna speaks to the Brahmana and asks him, "What is it that you're carrying?" So the Brahmana comes and tells the purpose why he has reached there, and he gives the letter that has been given by Rukmini. And he tells the whole story, what's happening back in Vidarbha, and he hands over that letter to Lord Krishna. So you see this beautiful picture. Actually, Krishna makes the Brahmana himself read the letter because he trusts him so much, because Rukmini has trusted him so much and gave him the letter. That means he must be a very trustworthy person. So the Brahmana reads out the letter. So the next 7 verses are the words written by Rukmini. So we will recite these verses together and see the translation. Each of you can recite at your end. Shri Rukmini Uvacha Shrutva Gunan Bhuvana Sundara Shrunvatam Te Nirvishya Karna Vivared Haratongatapam Rupam Drisham Drishimatam Akhilathalabham Tvayuchyuta Vishati Chittam Apatrapam Me. Shri Rukmini said, "O beauty of the worlds, having heard of your qualities which enter the ears of those who hear and remove their bodily distress, and having also heard of your beauty which fulfills all the visual desires of those who see, I have fixed my shameless mind upon you, O Krishna." So, having heard of your qualities. So basically, Rukmini has never seen Krishna before this, but she has seen him by hearing. So this is what is called seeing through the ears. When we really hear from a pure devotee about Krishna, that attentive hearing has a potency to actually give us the vision of Krishna himself in his true form. So this, by hearing what did she say? That it removed the bodily distress. So there's a beautiful verse by Srila Rupa Goswami in Padyavali. He says, "Aho aho bhirna kaler vidhuyate sudha sudhara madhuram pade pade dine dine chandana chandra shitale yasho yashodatanayasya giyate aho aho na kaler vidhuyate sudha sudhara madhuram pade pade." So the nectar of Krishna Katha is Sudha. Sudha is nectar. Sudhara, and it is a continuous stream of nectar. Madhuram, it is very sweet. Pade pade. And Dine Dine Chandana Chandra Shitale. It is as cooling as Chandana. Chandana means sandalwood. And Chandra, that is camphor. When you mix camphor and sandalwood, it becomes all the more cooling. If any of you know, for Chandan Yatra, we make Chandan for the Lord and we apply it on his body. right? So when you're making the chandan, when you also add camphor to it, it's more pleasing to the Lord because it's more cooling. So basically, the Krishna Katha is supposed to is having that kind of a cooling effect, that it is Chandana Chandra Shitale, in such a way that it eradicates even the effects of Kali. So it has its soothing and cooling effect. So Queen Rukmini is writing here that when these qualities enter the ears of those who hear, they remove their bodily distress. And having heard of your beauty, if you see in the letter, she addresses Krishna as Bhuvana Sundara. So she's glorifying Krishna as the most beautiful person. So if you see in the whole of Bhagavatam, the beauty of Krishna is glorified so many times in so many ways. Actually, to see and admire beauty and to be attracted by beauty is inherent in the soul of even every jiva. For example, when we go out and you see a beautiful sunrise, the various shades of the sky, and you see the sunset, or you see a beautiful rainbow, or a beautiful peacock, or a bird, or a butterfly, or even a flower, a beautiful flower, you get it's so attractive to the heart. Why it's attractive to the heart? Because all this beauty is but a spark of the splendor of Lord Krishna himself. Lord Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita that mama mama tejomsha sambhavam. So it's like yadyat vibhuti mat sattvam Srimad Ujjitameva Tattad Evavigachatvam Mama Tejomsha Sambhavam. Yadyad Vibhuti Mat Sattvam. Whenever you see anything beautiful or Srimad Ujjitam or glorious, know it, Arjuna, that you can understand me that it is a insignificant spark of my own splendor. So when we see this beauty, unlimited beauty around us, we need to understand that attraction for that beauty is an inherent nature of the soul, and that beauty is but a spark of Krishna himself. Our soul in its original nature has the experience of seeing Krishna, so it's searching for that beauty in the material world. So it's like the mirage. It's the mirage in which it's searching, but still we get a glimpse of that by nature's beauty. And actually, this search and attraction and the need of the soul for the beauty is actually encashed so much by the glamour industry and the movie industry. So that's why people are so attracted to movies, so attracted to glamour, because their eyes are always wanting to see something beautiful, because the soul has the experience of seeing the most beautiful object. So in the process, the whole movie industry, what they're doing, they're misdirecting the soul's natural search for Krishna's beauty. It's misdirected. It's going in a very wrong direction. Even in this material nature, we can understand what is beauty of Krishna and its perverted reflection and how it is being encashed. And also, there are some very beautiful verses in Bhagavata which speak about what is the nature of this beauty of Krishna. They're very, very sweet verses. When Krishna enters the arena of Mathura, so from Vrindavan, he goes to Mathura. All these ladies of Mathura, they look at Krishna for the first time, and they are so totally captivated. And they will start thinking, my God, what all austerities these gopis might have performed, that they're always drinking the nectar of Krishna's beauty with their eyes. There's a beautiful verse which says that Gopyas tapaski macharan tvadamushya rupam lavanya saramasamodvamananya siddham drigpibanti anusavabhinavam durapam ekantadhamam yashasashriyam aishwarasya. So they are saying that what austerities these gopis have performed, that they're drinking the nectar of beauty with their eyes every moment. What is the beauty of Krishna? Lavanya saram. Lavanya saram means Some of you have the name Lavanya, right? Lavanya means loveliness. So the beauty of Krishna is the essence of all loveliness. Lavanya Saram. Asamodhvam. Asamodhvam means it's unparalleled. Nothing can match it. Ananya Siddham. Ananya Siddham means it is self-perfect. Nothing can be added to it to make it more perfect. So Lavanya Saram, Asamodhvam, Ananya Siddham. And Drigbi Pibanti Anusavabhinavam. Anusavabhinavam. Abhinava, many of us have the name Abhinav, right? Abhinav means new. Anusavabhinavam means constantly new. So Krishna's beauty is constantly new. It's not new at this moment. It's constantly new. So for example, we get a new dress. 1 or 2 days, 2 times you wear it, it's no longer new, right? But Krishna's beauty is not like that. It's constantly new. And Durapam, that is, it is very rarely attained. And it is the abode of all Yashasa, Shriya and Aishwarasya. Yashasa means all fame, all beauty and all fortune. So that's the beauty of Krishna. And even Chaitanya Charitamrita, the beauty of Krishna is again further beautifully glorified. That Krishna Madhuryera eka svabhavika bala, Krishna adi nara nari koroye chanchala. So the beauty of Krishna, it has one natural strength. What is that natural strength Krishna beauty has? It can, what is it natural strength the beauty of Krishna has? It can thrill the hearts of men, women, and starting with Krishna himself. Even Krishna is thrilled by his own beauty. In Mathura, in Dwaraka, Krishna builds beautiful palaces for all his wives. So at that time, he used to see his own reflection in that all the jeweled palaces, and he used to be so amazed. Oh my God, who is this beautiful person? He was so amazed with his own beauty. So that's one of the reasons why he came as Gauranga Mahaprabhu, because he wants to relish his beauty through the eyes of Srimati Radharani. So this is Krishna's beauty. And what happens when a person drinks the nectar of Krishna's beauty through their eyes? So it goes further. Ye madhuryamrita pana sabaye kore, Krishna shanti nai Krishna bhade nirantare. So when a person drinks the nectar of beauty of Krishna through the eyes, what happens? Krishna is the thirst. Krishna shanti nai. The thirst is not quenched. It's not quenched. Krishna bhade nirantare. That thirst is increasing incessantly. So when this thirst for Krishna's beauty is increasing incessantly, what happens? A person becomes frustrated. What happens when a person becomes frustrated? They start complaining. So this is what the gopis did. They went to Brahma and they started complaining to him. What did they complain to him? Koti netra nahi dila sa bedui. Koti netra nahi dila sa bedui. You have not given us millions of eyes. You have given us only 2. And tahate nimesha. Krishna kide kibo muni. He says, and even to those eyes, see, after millions and millions of births, we got the darshan of Krishna, who is so beautiful. And after millions of births, we got the darshan of Krishna. And to see that beauty of Krishna, you didn't give us millions of eyes. You gave us only 2 eyes. And to those 2 eyes, you gave eyelids. Is this any creation at all? And they're complaining this to Brahma. So we see the same verse even in Gopi Geet. Atatiyat bhavan ahani kananan truti yudayate tvam apashyatan kutila kuntalam shri mukham chate Jadaudikshataam Pakshmakritrisham. So they're complaining to Lord Brahma, why you have given eyelids to our eyes? It's a defect in your creative potency. So this is unlimited glory and unlimited verses that describe the beauty of Krishna. And that's what actually Rukmini Devi is also saying. She's saying that your beauty can actually fulfills all the visual desires of those who see. And seeing that, I have fixed my shameless mind upon you. Why she said shameless mind? Rukmini Devi, she approaches Krishna in such a humble mood that she praises Krishna, she glorifies Krishna, and she keeps herself in a very humble position. So this is the nature of every devotee. So the next verse, Katva Mukunda Mahati Kulashila Rupa Vidya Vayo Dravina Dhama Bhiratma Tulyam Dhirapatin Kulavati Navrinita Kanya Kale Nrusimha Naraloka Manobhiramam. Says, O Mukunda, you're equal only to yourself in lineage, character, beauty, knowledge, youthfulness, wealth, and influence. O lion among men, you delight the minds of all mankind. What aristocratic, sober minded, and marriageable girl of a good family would not choose you as her husband when the proper time has come? So here we see how Rukmini Devi is telling Krishna that you are equal to only yourself, and you delight the minds of all mankind. So by this one sentence, you'll delight the minds of all mankind. It is very clear that Krishna actually, through the ears, entered the heart of Rukmini Devi. When we hear attentively, through the ears, Krishna actually enters the heart. And how do you know he entered the heart? It delights the mind. So sometimes we are hearing, but not actually hearing. I mean, if you remember, sometimes when we go to college and we attend some lectures, let's say, especially after lunch, the teacher will be teaching something. I mean, the lecturer or professor. You're hearing, your eyes are also wide open. You look very receptive. But if somebody comes and waves their hand in front of your eyes, you don't even know it. If somebody asks you a question, what did the teacher say? There is nothing retained, because the ears are here, but the mind is not associated with the ear. The mind is somewhere else. So that kind of hearing does not produce any result. So an attentive hearing, and not just attentive hearing, but purposeful hearing with the purpose of really knowing Krishna, understanding Krishna with a pure heart. When you do that, that's when that kind of hearing has a true impact of awakening the dormant love for Krishna. And that's what exactly happened with Rukmini Devi. And she's saying, what aristocratic, sober-minded and marriageable girl of good family would not choose you? So she's saying, it's not just me who will not choose you. So this is the nature of spiritual love. It does not try to possess. It is not exclusive. It is inclusive. So that's the nature of spiritual love. It's not that you're mine and I'm very possessive about you. That's the material love. So spiritual love is all inclusive. And that comes only by loving Krishna. And so here we can see very clearly that Krishna has appeared by entering into the heart. And what happens when Krishna appears? Because Janmashtami is coming near. So we'll just see what happens when Krishna appears. So in the jail, when Krishna has appeared, what happened? 3 things happened. There are 3 ways people have reacted to it. Firstly, the non-devotees. How do they react? The guards who were outside the jail, what did they do? They slept off. And they were that's a reaction of the non-devotees to the appearance of Krishna. They sleep off. Many times in Krishna Katha, people sleep off. Why? Because they have no devotion in the heart, or the desire to know about Krishna. Then now another reaction. You see, there are shackles which bound Vasudeva and Devaki, and that is the gate, the jail gate, etc. What did they do? They all opened up when Krishna appeared. So the neutral people in the presence of Krishna or Krishna Katha, they open up. And what was the reaction of Vasudeva and Devaki when Krishna appeared? They have become like they were going through so much of pain, but still they were ready to serve. This is the nature of a pure devotee or a true devotee of Krishna. That when Krishna appears, they're ready to serve, they're excited to serve, and they are not considerate about their own pain. Even Devaki and Vasudeva, they have gone through so much of pain of losing 6 sons, and even now Krishna wants them to leave him. So this is how different devotee reacts to the appearance of Krishna. A neutral person reacts, and a non-devotee reacts to the presence of Krishna. So yeah, that's how. So how Rukmini has reacted when Krishna has appeared to her heart, in her heart, is that she was in tears. She surrendered her heart to Krishna, and she, in her desperation, she wrote this letter to Krishna. The next one. Tanme bhavan khalu vritah patirangajayam atmarpitascha bhavatotra vibho videhi ma veera bhagam abhimarsyatu chaitya arat gomayuvan mrigapater balimambujaksha. Therefore, my dear Lord, I have chosen you as my husband, and I surrender myself to you. Please come swiftly, O Almighty One, and make me your wife. My dear lotus-eyed Lord, let Shishupala never touch the hero's portion, like a jackal stealing the property of a lion. Actually, when you have time, I request you can go through all these verses again, and you can memorize these verses. They're very beautiful, and they can be offered as prayers to Krishna. So he's telling, Rukmini is saying, my dear Lord, I have chosen you as my husband. So choosing Krishna. So this is again, free will is the gift that Krishna has given every living entity. So in every point of time, at every instance, in every situation, we make choices. And after hearing about Krishna, Rukmini has made her choice to accept Krishna as her Natha, or her husband. Similarly, we also have a choice to choose Krishna or not choose Krishna. And this choice is exercised in different situations of our lives. In fact, it is exercised moment after moment. How much are we choosing Krishna? So this choice, actually choosing Krishna in every moment, in every situation, in every turn of our life, this is the expression of our sincerity, or of our desire to love and surrender to Krishna. For example, in Mahabharata, when Arjuna and Duryodhana were given the options, Arjuna chose Krishna, but Duryodhana chose the Narayani Sena. In other words, he chose the powerful Maya. So devotee's default choice is Krishna, and that's what Sri Rukmini Devi has exemplified here. And she surrendered. I surrender myself to you. See, surrender is not something, a mere sentiment. Rukmini has so beautifully expressed her surrender. So these very deep feelings in devotion, they have to be expressed. When they're expressed, they're reciprocated. It is not that they're taken for granted that they're existing. No. Surrender is a feeling that has to be expressed. And Sri Rukmini, she really expressed herself through this letter and through an intelligent plan of action. She made every move possible to approach Krishna and to attain Krishna and to express her surrender to Krishna. She just didn't have it as a dormant feeling in her heart. So surrender has to be expressed for it to be reciprocated. So let's go to the next verse. Urteshta datta niyama vrata deva vipra gurvarchanadi viralam bhagavan pareshah आराधितो यदि गदाग्रजयेत्यपाणिं गृह्णातु मे नदमघोषसुतादयोन्ये. If I have sufficiently worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead by pious works, sacrifices, charity, rituals, and vows, and also by worshipping the demigods, brahmanas, and the gurus, then may Gadagraja come and take my hand, and not Damaghosha's son or anyone else. So by this verse, it's very clear that Krishna cannot be attained in one lifetime endeavors. Krishna can be attained only by lifetimes of endeavors. And Rukmini Devi so beautifully, the translation started with, if I have sufficiently worshipped. This if is a very, very important word here. It sets a very beautiful mood of approaching Krishna. Oftentimes we think that we have done a lot of service to Krishna, and we quote that service. Krishna, I have chanted so many rounds for you. I have done so much of book distribution for you. I have done so much of prasadam distribution for you. I've done, you give a list of the services. I have done all this for you. So you have to reciprocate with me. Sometimes the prayer comes in this mood, but that's not the mood. The word if is very important. Rukmini Devi very humbly is approaching the Lord and telling him, if I have sufficiently worshipped, then you may please, then may Gadagraja come. You may please come and take my hand, and not Shishupal. So this whole mood of approach makes a lot of difference in bhakti, how you're approaching the Lord. So this whole episode of this letter of Rukmini to Krishna, it has a thread, a common thread of humility that is strewn into all the letters. That's the beauty of this letter. So the mood of approach is what that makes a difference when you approach the Supreme Lord or even spiritual authority. Shvobhavini tvam ajitodvahane vidarbhan gupta sametya pritana pratibhi paritah nirmatya chaitya magadendra balam prasahya mam rakshasena vidinodvaha virya shubhkam. O unconquerable one, tomorrow when my marriage ceremony is about to begin, you should arrive unseen in Vidarbha and surround yourself with the leaders of your army. Then crush the forces of Chaitya and Magadendra and marry me in the Rakshasa style, willing me with your valor. So you see here, Rukmini is giving a complete plan of action. She is not expecting some magic to happen. She is very practical. She is very intelligent. And being a Kshatriya woman and risen in the royal family, she had a very good grasp of the political affairs. And she has used all that background to really plan the escape in a very intelligent way. Sometimes in devotion, we become that, we think that, yeah, I have surrendered myself to Krishna. In the heart, it's a feeling. And so some magic will happen and lo and behold, tomorrow I will see myself opening the door of Goloka and go and relax in an easy armchair. With spiritual life, it's not so easy. It is moment after moment, we have to utilize our free will to do something, yeah, and utilize our God-given abilities in planning what here she has planned the whole escape in such a meticulous way. Rukmini Devi, she was not a passive person. She has planned the whole escape and she is approaching Krishna. So we have to use our intelligence to practice, even in our practicing of bhakti. Not that we just expect magics to happen or miracles to happen and let Krishna intervene, and we use so many words and dialogues. But no, what are you doing with what talents Krishna has given you? The free will that Krishna has given you, the determination Krishna has given you. That's what makes a difference. Taking responsibility and acting with the God-given gifts. Next. Antapurantaracharim anihatya bandhum tvamudvahe kathamiti pravadamyupayam purvedhyurasti mahati kuladeva yatra yasyam bahirnavavadhur girijamupeyat. Since I will be staying within the inner chambers of the palace, you may wonder, how can I carry you away without killing some of your relatives? But I shall tell you a way. On the day before the marriage, there is a grand procession to honor the royal family's deity. And in this procession, the new bride goes outside the city to visit goddess Girija. So this is the heights of proactive and meticulous planning. Also, the whole disaster management is also planned in this. So Rukmini gave a clear-cut understanding, and she was simultaneously smart and sensitive. She was smart because she assumed Krishna might not consider my request, because maybe when I tell him to come, he might fear that I will be in the inner chambers of my palace, and he might have to fight with my family relatives, and he might feel sensitive about that. She had that sensitivity to what Krishna might feel. And she actually closed that option and she gave an alternative. She already planned it in advance. She said, don't think that way. Don't think you will have to come and fight with my modulators. I will go and wait at the temple. Yeah, and without anybody's notice, you come. And you also bring your guards, I mean, your own army along with you, but come unnoticed. So she gives the whole plan and she also tells him where she's waiting. The next and the last, this is the last verse. Yasyangri pankaja rajasnapanam mahanto vanchanti umapatirivatmatamopahatyai yahyambujakshara bhavat prasadam jahyamasun ratakrishan shatajanma bhisyat. It's a very beautiful verse. She concludes her letter by saying, O lotus-eyed one, great souls like Lord Shiva hanker to bathe in the dust of your lotus feet and thereby destroy their ignorance. If I cannot obtain your mercy, I shall simply give up my vital force, which will have become weak from the severe penances I will perform. Then, after hundreds of lifetimes of endeavor, I may obtain your mercy. So Rukmini Devi is telling, she's concluding her letter by saying that what she's showing in this final verse, she's showing her desperation. She's showing her adamance. This adamance is a very beautiful quality that some devotees possess. The acharyas explain that adamance means, in Hindi they say na hat karna, ya zidd karna, or in Telugu we say mankupattu. So Acharya say that there are three types of hut. There is Bala hut, Stri hut, and there is Bhakta hut. Bala hut means children, they do zid or hut. Sometimes, they want a particular toy and they want that toy. We have to give that toy to them. If not, they're going to cry. If parents take their children to exhibition, we have this experience. They want it at any cost. So that is hut. Sometimes, that same adamance to get something, to obtain something, when it is dovetailed in devotional life, it can prove a great asset. We see this in the life of Dhruva Maharaj. Narada Muni tells Dhruva Maharaj, you're a small child and, fights and all keep happening in the family. Go back home. Then Dhruva Maharaj said, no, until and unless I have the darshan of my dear Lord, I'm not going to go. That is adamance. And that adamance is desirable in spiritual life. And it pleases the Lord. And Stri hut means sometimes it's a very natural thing in families. Sometimes women want a particular necklace or some possession. And zid, I need it, I want it. I'm not going to take no for an answer. Stri hut. And Bhakta hut means sometimes devotees also do this hut in their devotion to Krishna. We see this in the prayers of some very great souls. We see this kind of hut sometimes in the prayers of Annamacharya, Tyagaya. We can, appreciate this beautiful feeling and element of adamance, of not wanting to give up. So we see Rukmini Devi so beautifully said that after hundreds of lifetime of endeavor, I may obtain your mercy. And if I cannot obtain your mercy, I'll give up my life. She says, I'm going to give up my vital force with my severe penances. And I will wait until the time that you appear. And she sealed the letter. She gave the Brahmana and she sent him. And so the Brahmana gives that letter to Krishna. And Krishna has read the letter. And having sent the letter, Rukmini Devi is waiting in her palace and eagerly waiting. Imagine she wrote such a letter, expressing her entire heart's feeling of love and anticipation, her surrender, everything is expressed. And she is waiting eagerly for a reply. The Brahmana, she's waiting at the courtyard, seeing eagerly, on the pathway, looking at the pathway in which the Brahmana has gone. She's waiting for him to return. So, and then how Krishna reciprocated to this letter, that will be the part 2 of our class. So basically, this is the beauty. The title of this whole session is The Hidden Message. So it is hidden message for two reasons. The reason number one is basically the message that Rukmini has written to Krishna, she hid it, and in a very hidden way, she sent it through the Brahmana. It's a straight meaning. And the hidden message is that through this letter, which we are reading 5,000 years after it has been written, so much is communicated to us. There is so much of hidden message for every sadhaka as to how to approach the Lord and how to attain the favor of the Lord. So that is the compassion and the mercy of Srimati Radharani and all the supreme goddesses of fortune and of Sri Rukmini Devi. They're always so compassionate that they want to give us the experience of Krishna Bhakti, the Krishna's mercy. And this very same essence is enacted also in Jhulan Yatra as a pastime. So when Srimati Radharani is on the swing, so here Sri Rukmini Devi, not just through these pastimes that are performed, Krishna is ultimately attracting the hearts of the living entity back to the spiritual world. And in this whole episode, the Shakti Tattva, the goddess of fortune, they always are very compassionate, more compassionate. They're actually the compassionate nature of the Supreme Lord himself. They want to invite the living entity back into the pastime. So similarly in Jhulan Yatra, we see Srimati Radharani, how when she sat beside Krishna, she experienced the ecstasy. She actually caught off the swing and she made all the gopis come and sit beside Krishna and swing and experience that greatest ecstasy. So this is the nature of Srimati Radharani. This is the nature of spiritual love. It is inclusive, it is expanding, and the more it is shared, the more it is experienced and the more it is relished. So that's essence of the Jhulan Yatra. Thank you very much. At this time, I would conclude, and any questions, I can take one or two. It's already running over time. Any questions? Please send on the WhatsApp. Very good question by Deepika Mataji. She's asked, my question is, how can we know we are doing actually hearing or not? So, when you're really hearing, you want to hear more. When you're hearing nicely, you develop that attraction for the Lord. It actually, the clearest way of testing how if you're hearing rightly or not is it reflects in your chanting, in the way you are, the whole transformatory process that it's happening, and how you're applying. And the commonest way is you can look for yourself. Am I doing mindful hearing or not? Is something entering my mind or not? It starts with that. Something as basic as starting with your body and mind and senses. Am I hearing attentively or not? So after doing that, whether it is having its effect, it does have its effect because it shows up in your bhakti. And when it shows in your bhakti, bhaktir paresha anubhava viraktir anyatra cha. Your attachment for spiritual objects grows, your attachment for devotional service grows, and the attachment for material possessions decreases. Bhaktir paresha anubhava viraktir anyatra cha. That is for your attraction for material objects diminishes. Virakti. There is a distaste for material enjoyment. This is a short way if the hearing is happening in the right way or not. You have more taste for bhakti and devotional activities, for sadhu sangha, and for more hearing, and you have distaste for material enjoyment, material pleasures, and material inputs. Okay, I think this is answered. Next question. Any other question? What sets Rukmini apart? Hare Krishna, Karuna Radhika Mataji Jai. Please accept my humble obeisances. What sets Rukmini apart from all others in winning the hand of Krishna? Is there any incident from previous yuga like other 16,000 wives have? Mataji, I didn't get the question. Any incident from previous yuga? Yeah, what sets Rukmini apart from all others in winning the hand of Krishna? Rukmini, it is the Skanda Purana states that the just like how Srimati Radharani is the chief of all gopis in Vrindavan, Rukmini is the chief of all the queens in Dwaraka. So the Radharani of Vrindavan is equal or not different than Rukmini of Dwaraka. That's actually what sets aside. I mean, she sits like she's that's what makes her apart from the rest of the queens. If that's I got your question right, and then the second part of the question, if Mataji can explain. Is there any incident? Yes, there's another question. We will get back to this question once I understand what's the second part. And there is a question by Sindhuja. Can you please tell us what it exactly or how or correctly is to choose Krishna and how do we apply? Very good question, Sindhuja. What it means to choose Krishna. It starts with being serious about Krishna and saying yes to Krishna and no to the mind whenever there is a option comes. Let's say you are because you asked about application, I will start with early morning. Early morning, you want to wake up and do your japa. Put the alarm for 5 o'clock. Tring, the alarm rings. The intelligence has registered that you have to wake up at 5 and do your japa. But the mind says, come on, Sindhuja, sleep for a little more time. You can wake up later and do and chant. And intelligence says, no, we have heard that lecture. It is said you have to do your japa early in the morning. Get up and chant. In this way, there's a dialogue between intelligence and mind. And technically, this is called the mind-intelligence dialogue. So it happens many times within us. And when we have the sufficient strength to actually say no to the mind and say yes to the intelligence, that's when and the intelligence which has heard the words of the spiritual master, Guru Parampara, or our mentors who want to connect us to Krishna, when the intelligence is convinced about that and it is guiding the mind, and we say yes to the intelligence and no to the mind, which is pulling us to the dictations of the senses. That's when we are choosing Krishna. This is just a small example early in the morning. And let's say you wake up, there's something very nice coming on the television, maybe your favorite movie. And then you have the option of reading something in the scripture, reading Prabhupada's book, something very nice and interesting, something about Krishna, a verse from Bhagavad Gita. Then you have the strength to say no to the TV and yes to reading Prabhupada's book. Again, you have chosen Krishna. And then let's say, like this, and that's why I said it's situation after situation, moment to moment, choosing Krishna in our life. These kind of, I think the episodes that I have told is not foreign, which we all go through every day in our life. So sadhaka's life is a struggle, but then the amount of times you say yes to Krishna, you choose Krishna and say no to Maya, that is directly proportional to your advancement. Yes, and Mataji, I will get back to you on this question. There is one more. Yeah. Okay, that's all. Okay, thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.